Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Do you want to know the real secret behind how I went on over 60 first dates in 10 months? It was talking to and dating multiple people before the commitment stage. You don't need to do what I did to find someone, but getting to know a few people at a time is a great approach for daters who have a scarcity mindset, get anxious easily, and are making dating a priority right now. In this episode, we're going to get into how to respectfully date multiple people without burning out and how to choose who to keep seeing and so much more. Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia, and I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating modern dating with confidence and ease. Whether you've been on dozens of dates or you're just getting started, I believe dating can be fun, especially when you master juggling a few matches. So this episode originally aired in June 2024, and I'm resharing it with you because we had some tech issues this week. But don't worry, next week you will have 2 brand new episodes. I also added a new dating dilemma at the end of this one, so don't miss that. I also wanted to let you know that I'm hosting a new live workshop on Monday, August 18th. That's all about creating your own dating rules. See, I define rules as standards and boundaries. And when you master communicating your boundaries in early stage dating and relationships, everything changes. And I'm so excited for this workshop. Everyone who joins will get a recording. So if you can't make it live, but you want the material, sign up and you'll get the replay. This workshop is 100% for you if you feel guilty when saying no, or if you don't speak up about the things that bother you because you're scared of pushing people away. It's time to stop being the cool girl or guy and start actually enforcing your boundaries. So you can learn more about this one-time only live workshop and sign up in the description below. All right, let's get to it. So in my initial episode, I mostly focus on my own experience dating multiple people. So if you want to hear that, that is episode number 16 from April 2023, and I'll link it in the show notes. But I want to cover really quickly why multidating can be beneficial. First of all, it speeds up the search process a little bit. If you only go on one date at a time and don't talk to anyone else, and then you have the date and then it doesn't work out, you're basically starting from square one each time. And a lot of first dates don't work out. In fact, most don't go anywhere. So if you're at least entertaining, like talking to other people and potential dates, then when one falls through, you'll have some momentum and you could just jump back in with another person. So that's how multidating can speed up the process. It's also really great if you tend to get attached quickly. So it's hard to attach to someone when you have multiple people in the mix. It kind of forces you to slow down because you're busy dating other people, right? Your schedule is full. You can't have a date 3 times. You can't see someone 3 times in a week because you have other dates lined up. It also helps you prove to yourself that there are other people, you can like other people, that you don't have to go all in on the first person who's nice to you, right? So that's another reason why multidating is great, especially if you have anxious attachment. And like I said, it proves abundance. If you're someone who says there's no one out there, no one wants to date me, all the good ones are taken, yada, yada, then taking this approach to dating multiple people can prove to you that there are a lot of potential matches out there. Okay, maybe most people aren't for you, but you can at least get rid of these limiting beliefs that all the good ones are taken and no one wants to date you. And finally, it's fun. Look, when I was dating rotationally and entertaining multiple matches, I felt like a real life bachelorette. It was so fun. And like I said earlier, it just proved over and over that there are good people out there and I can have a lot of different connections and a lot of fun, different experiences while dating. So in this episode, I want to dive a little bit deeper into how to multi-date successfully. I gave some tips in the last episode and I want to expand on them. So here we go. The first one is have an open mind. So to successfully date multiple people, you have to be a little bit more open, which will absolutely benefit your dating life if you tend to be too picky and selective. This switch up might be what you need to break out of a cycle, right? If you're currently not multi-dating, maybe doing this and switching it up will help you feel, reinvigorated or more energetic around dating as well. And it's okay to date just to date. Sometimes going on a date, even though you know it won't go anywhere, or if you're in a place of you're not ready for a relationship, this can help build your confidence in dating skills. But it starts with having an open mind because you really can't. It's not that you can't. It's just really difficult to multi-date and just line up all these dates and talk to these different people, if you are really, really picky and selective. And I know I don't want you to think that having an open mind means lowering your standards, because again, lowering your standards would be having a relationship with someone who does not meet your standards. Having an open mind is giving someone a chance, right? We're just talking about 1 to 3 dates here. That's not lowering your standards. That is giving someone a chance and having an open mind. The next tip is limit yourself to talking to 2 to 3 people. For me, it was 3. And that means like messaging, texting, and setting up dates with only a few people. 2 is plenty for most people, to be honest. And my rotation of 3, this is how it worked for me. I would basically be texting and setting up dates with 3 guys, right? Actively seeing them. And then when one wouldn't work out, I'd go back to the apps and find someone to fill their slot. I know it sounds bad. It doesn't sound great, but that's how I did it. That was my system and it worked really well for me. And I had to figure out, it took me time to get there. Like there were times where I lined up 7 first dates in a week, which was, unhinged. There were times where I was only dating one person at a time. And I found that 3 was my sweet spot. So to figure out how many people to see at once, you might want to play with it. You might want to experiment a little bit, see what works for you, see what you can handle. Again, I think 2 is plenty. The third tip is to not compare your dates to each other. So this is another sticky point in multi-dating where people will be like, well, I don't want to compare people to each other. And you're not comparing person A to person B and deciding who to date. You're comparing people to your needs and your goals. And that is the same for no matter how you're dating, right? Whether you're dating one person at a time or you're entertaining multiple matches, you are going to be measuring people against what you need and what you're looking for. So how do you do that? Well, first, you've got to know your needs. So that takes work. It takes a little time. It takes a little meditation. The good news is I do have resources for you. I have a whole course. It takes about 40 minutes to complete about how to discover your needs. And that is on Instagram in my bio link. It says how to identify your needs. So that's what that's called. And it's honestly, it condenses the entire process down into just what you need to focus on to figure it out. And it will take you a very short amount of time to compare it to how long it took me to figure out what my needs were. So if you don't know what you need in a relationship, you need to figure that out, whether you're multi-dating or not, because that's going to guide you. And the other thing that will help you do this, again, whether you are seeing multiple people or not, but especially if you are seeing multiple people, is tracking your dates. So that's taking notes after each date, seeing how you feel, seeing how they treated you, if you like them, right? That's how you are going to make decisions about who you're dating and who to not date anymore when you are seeing multiple people. And if you want resources on how to track your dates, I have those too. They're free. You can head to my bio link on Instagram and grab the date tracker resource. And I'll put both these things in the show notes as well. All right, the fourth tip, which I actually don't know if I've ever talked about before, is save their names in your phone. Okay, I know there's this kind of superstition where like people will say the second you save their name in your phone is the second they will ghost you or fumble or whatever. I don't buy into this. If you're dating and talking to multiple people, you need to save their names in your phone. You can save them like Mike Hinge or, like Lucy Bumble, whatever it is. That way you won't get people mixed up and it'll be easier to keep everything straight. I would save people's numbers pretty much the second I started texting them, but again, that's because I dated so many people that I needed to do that. And look, if it doesn't work out, then you just delete their number. No big deal. All right, the fifth tip is to not text a lot, okay? So when you are dating multiple people, super important to keep the texting to a minimum because you will feel so burnt out and exhausted from having ongoing text conversations with 2 to 3 people. It is definitely overdoing it if you're just texting all day with multiple people, and you will mix up details. So keep the texting to a minimum, which is advice I would give any dater doing any approach to dating, right? Because texting, and I have a whole episode on this as well. It's called Texting 101. Texting creates a false sense of intimacy. It allows us to build up a whole fantasy in our head about the person. It's just not great for dating. Okay, we talk about this all the time. So don't text a lot, especially if you are seeing multiple people. Keep the texting to just planning and quick check-ins throughout the day, maybe sharing inside jokes or, trading a few PG photos of what you were doing throughout the day if that's your style. So again, that'll help you keep everything straight. The sixth tip, really important, is keeping dates short. So if you're dating multiple people and you tend to get tired out, or if you're an introvert, if you just don't have a lot of time, keep the dates to 2 hours max. And again, multi-dating is not something you really keep doing beyond date 5 or 6, typically. So the first few dates can be short. It's totally okay if you're just going to hang out for an hour to 2 hours with someone that you're just getting to know. You don't need to give them a whole Saturday afternoon, or you don't have to have sleepovers with them. Just keep them short. And you might be thinking, how do I create a connection in a short amount of time? And look, maybe this is less about the connection and more about exploring and getting to know if they're even worth making a connection with, right? That's early dating, especially those first few dates, is really exploratory. You're just learning about who they are, their values, what they're into, what they want. It's not really about making a connection at that point. It's really just like, do I even want to invest emotional energy into this? Are you the kind of person I'm looking for? So that's why that type of exploration does lend itself to shorter dates, if that makes sense. So again, that's just another tip so you don't get tired out and so you actually have time to multi-date, is to keep dates short. Let's talk about when to stop, because like I just said, it's not something you're doing, past a certain point. It's really just for like date 1 to 3. That's when you can have some overlap. Beyond that, it gets a little trickier. So when to stop is when you find someone you're interested in, right? When you find a person who you actually want to invest in and make a connection with and explore an actual relationship with, if you are looking for monogamy. You might want to cut someone off when you've gone out with them 5 times and you're still not really sure. At that point, if you're not attracted to them and if you're not really sure about them, it's okay to call it off. Also, stop when you feel overwhelmed or guilty. So that was a big sign for me. When I felt guilty is when I stopped seeing other people and wanted to focus on one person because that connection was like taking off, right? So that was a signal like, okay, I'm feeling guilty. Maybe it's time to cut things off with other people and just focus on one person. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, like you just can't handle it, cut it off. It's okay. And finally, if you're burnt out, that's definitely a sign to stop. If you're not excited to meet these people, if you're not excited to date, that's just a clear sign to not force it and just stop doing it for a while, no matter how you're dating. I had been hearing people rave about linen sheets forever, and I finally get it. I made the switch with Quince, and now I'm obsessed. Their linen bedding instantly made our whole bedroom feel more pulled together, and honestly, I don't know why I waited so long. We're kind of picky about sheets in my household. Johnny sleeps hot, and I like to feel cozy, and Quince's linen sheets cover all the bases for us. I got them in this beautiful sage green color, and it felt like a huge upgrade. We both love them. They're light, breathable, and soft from day one. And what I love is that they actually get softer with every wash. And it's not just the sheets. Quince has ultra plush duvets, quilts, pillows, and more, all in premium fabrics like organic cotton, breezy bamboo, and even silk. And here's the best part. Like their clothing, Quince bedding is about half the cost of similar brands. They partner directly with top artisans and cut out the middleman so you get incredible quality without the crazy markup. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, which makes me feel even better about my purchase. Level up your bedding with Quince. You'll feel the difference right away. Go to quince.com/Talia for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Talia to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Talia.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
One way I like to look at multidating is like making plans with multiple friends in a period of time. You don't have to make one plan at a time with friends, right? Maybe one group of friends invites you to a brunch on a Saturday, and then another friend is coming over to your place to watch a show on a Thursday, and then you have happy hour with your work friends on a Tuesday. That's kind of how multidating works too. It doesn't have to be that deep or complicated, right? Especially from those first few dates when there is no commitment or relationship to speak of. You are just figuring out if you want to have a relationship with that person. You don't need it to be exclusive with them from the jump. And I know someone out there is listening to this like, what if I don't have time for all that? And I get it. You're busy, you have a life, you have other things going on, you have errands, you've got your workout schedule, you've got to sleep. I mean, there's a lot to do. And if you want to try this out, but you don't have time to arrange multiple dates in a week or in a 2-week period, then try to do some FaceTime calls instead. You can still kickstart the process by offering FaceTime or video chats on your computer, which is how I did it with my fiance. Like we had our first few dates, literally I was sitting on my laptop. That's a way to fit in multi-dating without actually leaving your place and fitting in time to get, do the whole thing of getting ready and like picking a place and arranging a date. Then you can still meet multiple people without leaving the house. If that were me, I would do a thing where I basically have one in real life date a week and then set up FaceTimes with one or two other people during the same week so that if that first date didn't work out, I'd still have other people to see if I wanted to. Like with anything else in your dating journey, this is something to experiment with, to play with. You don't have to commit to this approach to dating, just like you don't have to commit to anyone you go out with a few times. You're in the driver's seat and you might love multi-dating. You might hate it. There's really only one way to find out, and I recommend giving it a shot. I also want to touch on what to do if you've already tried multi-dating and you know it's not for you, but you still want to find a way to take things slow and avoid rushing into it. So instead of multi-dating, you can just lean deeper into your hobbies, your social life, other commitments you've made to yourself or projects you're working on. The key is just not to drop everything for the person you have crazy strong chemistry with. So you can do that by filling your schedule with more dates, or you can fill your schedule with the things you love or a little bit of both, depending on how much energy you have or what you feel like doing. There is no wrong way to do this. So just keep that in mind. If you don't want to multi-date, there's still a way to avoid rushing into things by filling your schedule with things that you love doing anyway that have nothing to do with dating. So I talked a little bit about this in the first episode I did on multidating, but I want to touch on it here because it's really important. And the question is, do you tell people that you are seeing other people? And my approach may not be one you agree with, but generally, no. Like, here is why. Hear me out. If we're on a date and I just casually say that I have another date later that week without you asking, without any, it just kind of comes up like that, you're going to feel like it's a slap in the face. Even if it's a first date, even if we just met, you're also going to be like, does this person think of me as a friend? Because it's just not the norm to offer that information on a date that you're just, again, this is one of these unspoken rules. And if you don't agree with this, that's fine. You can be upfront, do what you want. I'm just saying what worked for me. And that was not being proactive with sharing that information. Of course, if it came up, if they asked me if I was seeing other people, I would absolutely be honest. But sharing that just without them even asking is, again, it's just going to feel like a slap in the face. It's going to be a hit to their confidence, and it's going to be a hit to the connection that we're building. So it's okay if you don't want to offer that information without being asked. And it's okay if you do. Okay. Do what works for you. The topic usually came up for me most naturally when we'd be talking about exclusivity, or I would just make the decision that I didn't want to see anyone else. So I would be like, hey, by the way, I deleted the apps this week. And that implies that I'm not talking to anyone else, especially if we met on an app, right? I mean, that would make a little less sense, I guess, if we met in person, but I met most people I was dating on the apps. So yeah, I mean, look, for my fiance and I was the only person he was seeing and talking to while I was still seeing and talking to other people. We didn't really talk about that. I mean, I kind of was like, aren't you dating other people? Like, I kind of was curious because he had just moved to Seattle where we lived. And I was like, aren't you going to, explore? And he was like, no, you're the only person I'm talking to. And I didn't say anything back, right? I didn't confirm or deny that I was doing the same with him. And I think he probably knew I was talking to other people. He knew I had a dating podcast. He knew about my dating Instagram. So I think it was like pretty clear what I was doing. But he didn't bring it up. He didn't have an issue with it. I naturally decided to stop seeing other people at a certain point. And then we went from there. So I know there are people out there who have a problem with this, who are like, I will not date other people who are dating other people. And that's fine. I just think if you are seeing other people, you can decide if you want to share that information without being asked, share when it comes up. It's really a case-by-case basis. I'd love to hear what you think about this. You can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. Again, I'm very open to hearing your opinions. I think there are a lot of different ways to approach this. My way is definitely not the only way. It's not the right way. It's just one of many ways, and it worked for me. So another question that comes up is, what do you do when you're multi-dating and you meet two people you really like? How do you decide? So this will happen. And maybe you'll like them, you'll find two people and you'll like them for completely different reasons. And I have definitely run into this. And this is one of those situations where only you have the answers, which I know is annoying. If you're struggling with this decision, my advice is to refocus on your priorities in dating, your goals, and what kind of person you need and what you're looking for. Then you can really evaluate each person against that and bet on which relationship you think is a better chance of working out, because that's all you can do. Like, I was in the situation with my fiance. I was seeing him and one other guy in the early stages, and I really liked both of them. The other guy was different. He was a homeowner. He was very handsome, very wholesome, and I enjoyed the few dates we went on, but it felt a little more forced with him. Also, our communication styles didn't meld as well. He was a big meme guy. He literally had a folder of memes and like a whole collection, and you have a meme for every occasion. And I know this probably sounds like someone's dream person, but I have literally never sent someone a meme in my entire life. It's just not how I communicate at all. I don't even use GIFs that much when texting, like maybe 3 times a year. I don't know if that was a sign, but it was definitely something I noticed when I compared him with my fiance, whose communication style and sense of humor aligned with mine a little more. I guess if I had to give one bit of direction on this, I'd say if you're looking for a long-term relationship, don't go with the person who gives you more anxiety. Even though it might feel exciting sometimes, the person who gives you a lot of anxiety in the early stages isn't going to give you less when you're committed. Trust me. Being in that situation is tough. Ultimately, whatever decision you make is going to be the right decision. Trust your gut, and don't forget what your goals and your needs are. All right, to recap, we talked about how to multi-date properly. We talked about why it's a good idea and why you should try it. And we talked about troubleshooting, right? If you're overwhelmed, how to do it if you're already really busy, what to do if you've already tried it, but you still want a way to not rush. We talked about communication and how to make those choices and what to do if you've found two people you really like. And I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you some clarity. And I hope this inspires you to try a different approach if you've never tried it before. It can be really fun, or it can be really overwhelming and maybe you'll hate it. There's only one way to find out. I also want to take a second to remind you to rate this podcast if you are enjoying it. If it's helping you at all, I'd really appreciate it. You can rate it on Spotify by tapping the 3 dots under the the show title, or on Apple, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom of the show and then rate it there. Thank you so much. 5 stars are really appreciated.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
All right, welcome back. So in the original version of this episode, I had updates on wedding planning. And since that is not relevant at all, I am going to share a new dating dilemma with you today. And if you want to submit a dating dilemma for me to answer on the podcast or on YouTube, you can use the form linked in the show notes below. Here we go. I, 27 female, started dating a 29 male, and we've gone on 6 dates. We both have been over to each other's places, but I feel like something is missing. He's been all green flags so far. I enjoy his company, and I feel safe and comfortable when I'm around him. This is super important for me because in the past, I've had, quote, the spark, and my anxious attachment style clung on to that, and my nervous system was screaming at me for missing some red flags. I can relate. This time around feels almost boring, and the physical attraction isn't all the way there, or some things just don't feel as natural with him. It took me a few times to feel comfortable kissing him, for example. He's very respectful of my boundary of waiting for intimacy, but how do I know if we will be physically compatible or if I'm making the right decision to continue seeing him? Thanks for sharing this. This is so tough and pretty common, and I'm glad you're slowing down to take time to reflect on your feelings and not just running away because there's no initial spark. That is progress. 6 dates is definitely past the usual advice of giving it 3 dates to see that if you're attracted to someone, but there are no strict rules in dating, and it's totally okay to keep dating someone while you're figuring out your feelings for them, as long as you take full responsibility for figuring it out, which it sounds like you are. You mentioned a few things that you're struggling with. 1, you said it's boring. 2, the physical attraction isn't all the way there. And 3, things don't feel as natural with him. So let's just unpack these. I want to say that boring isn't bad, but here's my question for you. Is it boring because he's a boring person and you're not curious about him, or you're not interested in who he is, like you don't really gel? Or is it boring because there's no drama or tension? If it's the former, then that's a sign he's just not a match. And if it's the latter, then maybe the fact that he's consistent and reliable is just a new experience for you. When it comes to the physical attraction not being all the way there, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but it sounds like on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is like the most attracted you'll ever be to someone, he sounds like he's maybe a 4 or 5. I don't know. That's definitely a red flag because at this point, 6 dates in, you probably have a good sense of how attracted you are. And if it's just not enough for you, it's okay to walk away. Everyone deserves someone who finds them hot, and you deserve someone who finds you hot. And for the last thing about things not feeling natural, that one is not a red flag in my opinion, because I think sometimes it takes time to get used to people. And I don't know where this idea of that kissing and being close to someone should feel totally natural from the jump. I don't know about you, if you're out there listening, I don't even feel natural hugging some of my friends and family and people I've known for years sometimes. I just don't think that's a deal breaker if it takes time to get used to each other's bodies, kissing styles, and other physical things that you're doing together. That can take a little more time because when you think about it, natural can also mean familiar, and it takes time to build up that familiarity. In terms of your question, so I had sex therapist Vanessa Marin and her husband Xander on the podcast last fall, and she said that sex is the main way to know if you're physically compatible. Like you have to get into bed with someone. I disagree, and I feel like kissing can tell you most of it, and like not all, but most. I'm not saying you should just jump into bed to figure it out. I think it's just like with your past experience, with your history, when do you usually feel if you're compatible with someone, and can you use that information to drive this decision? But it seems like after 6 dates, you're already learning that the physical compatibility isn't quite working for you so far. Is it right to continue seeing him? I think giving it 1 or 2 more dates is fine. My advice, though, is to try to stay present instead of focusing on figuring this out on the date, because then you're kind of taking yourself out of it. Reflect after the dates. And remember that the point of this stage is to see if you want to try a relationship, not get married and lock it in forever. If a really strong physical connection is extremely important and a non-negotiable need for you, like it needs to be seamless and passionate, then maybe this isn't your person. So it's definitely worth reflecting on, and I'm glad you're giving it the thought it deserves. I hope this helps. I'm sorry I don't have like a clear yes or no answer, but I hope I gave you some direction on what to think about. That's all I got for you. So I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me. I hope I helped you figure out how you can use multi-dating to your advantage in your journey. And don't forget, you're doing great. I'd love it if you share this episode with someone who is navigating dating and might need a little confidence boost or some tough love. If any of these episodes have helped you in your dating journey, you can help me by leaving a stunning review on Apple or giving Dating Intentionally 5 stars on Spotify. I'd really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Talia. This has been Dating Intentionally, and I'll catch you next time. I had been hearing people rave about linen sheets forever, and I finally get it. I made the switch with Quince, and now I'm obsessed. Their linen bedding instantly made our whole bedroom feel more pulled together, and honestly, I don't know why I waited so long. We're kind of picky about sheets in my household. Johnny sleeps hot, and I like to feel cozy, and Quince's linen sheets cover all the bases for us. I got them in this beautiful sage green color, and it felt like a huge upgrade. We both love them. They're light, breathable, and soft from day one. And what I love is that they actually get softer with every wash. And it's not just the sheets. Quince has ultra plush duvets, quilts, pillows, and more, all in premium fabrics like organic cotton, breezy bamboo, and even silk. And here's the best part. Like their clothing, Quince bedding is about half the cost of similar brands. They partner directly with top artisans and cut out the middleman, so you get incredible quality without the crazy markup. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, which makes me feel even better about my purchase. Level up your bedding with Quince. You'll feel the difference right away. Go to quince.com/Talia for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Talia to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Talia.